Well, the numbers don't lie, or do they tell the full story? If you take a look at some of the stats from last weekend, there's been a lot of chat about the numbers and what they tell. If you look at the stats, Bob, the Kiwis completely beat us, except for the scoreboard, just 4 points in it. And sometimes, yes, it shows a lot, 16 offloads to 1. To look at the number of passes, 235 to 80. It looks lopsided, but it really doesn't necessarily tell the whole story.
No, I mean, I think you're right. The stats definitely look as if New Zealand had more control of the game, you know, and you know, they're running meters, etc. But remember, we kicked poorly, so Israel Daggs carried the ball 25 meters before anyone's next to him. So those pile up, you know. If you look at the way Brodie Retallick played in that midfield, he was playing like a fly half. He had two runners outside him, and he got the ball, I think, 17 or 18 different times. He had 3 different options: either a short ball, you know, or carry it up himself, or go behind that to somebody else. And we should be doing that. At the moment, we're going 2 meters out and then straight into the oncoming traffic. It's not the kind of game of rugby that I would play. I know we're big and strong and it's worked for us, you know, but what I'd like to see is just a bit of diversification, because we can play that game. We don't have to change our entire game to attack more when you've got the ball.
Well, you have to admit that young Andre Pollard brought a little something, a little spark, a little of the diversity that Bob was talking about, Nick.
Well, he absolutely did. You know, this kick set up our first try. It was absolutely majestic. You know, from his own 10-yard line, he puts it 5 yards from the New Zealand touchline. I mean, absolutely fabulous kick. We then forced them to kick it out, off the line out, which was just outside the 22. This happened. Vermeulen took it up. Have a look at Pollard here, which we've seen a lot. Look how flat he takes it, goes right up to Noni, draws Noni, and creates the space there for Hendricks. I think he was a breath of fresh air, Bob, and I think had he played against Australia, despite how well Mornay kicked at poles, I think we'd have beaten Australia.
Well, Aaron Smith was another of the players who was instrumental, and Bob, he's been instrumental throughout the season. He's an exciting number 9, and when he gets going, things happen.
Yeah, I think he's a very good player. I'd like to see a couple of the South African forwards pull him into a ruck and smash him, because I think we give him a lot of space. We don't put enough pressure on him. We're not physical enough with him. He's small and he's elusive, but I tell you what, if we played the physical game with him, we'd rattle him. What we've allowed is we've allowed his forwards to protect him, and we haven't allowed our forwards to go in and rattle them. I mean, in the old days of the Kevin Putts of the world, and every time, I mean, we had this conversation with Justin Marshall. Sure. He like, I hated getting anywhere near your ruck because some big guy would bash me, and I said, that's the whole point.
What I wanted to take out there, Bob, was just the 3 kicks he kicked all landed on grass, and they were all called by Julian Sevier on the blind side. So we tend to kick because it's a preordinated game plan to get out of our half. Not all the time, but it seemed to happen. A couple of our aimless kicks from Hougaard. But this one was when Aaron Smith kicked, it was because there was no one in the box, and
fantastic
because he had Sevier herring down on and putting a lot of pressure.
We'll talk about Julian Sevier. I mean, he just seems to be getting better and better. What is it, 25?
Well, he's
tries.
at 20. I think it's 25 tries in 25 games, or 25 and 26 test matches.
He's the most productive wing in world rugby at the moment in terms of minutes played and tries scored.
I mean, we're a very good defensive side in close. We've got big, strong people, but his ability to beat players, you know, there are always 2 or 3 players that have to bring him down. And in this game, I mean, he was their key ball carrier. I think he was, you know, his forward momentum just was brilliant. Their ability to clean out quickly when he has the ball too allows Aaron Smith the time to make good decisions fly after run onto the ball and also make good decisions.
There was another fascinating little tussle, that of the number 8s, because Kieran Reid has proven yet again that he is the best player in the world. Dwayne Vermeulen really could have won man of the match in Australia, and I think really had a good game here as well. But Kieran Reid, Bob.
Look, I mean, I think Dwayne Vermeulen probably was man of the match, except for Kieran Reid, because these 2 players were standout for me. Reid is exceptional in the fact that he does everything skills-wise as well as the backs, but he's 115, 117 kilograms, and he gets around the field like you won't believe. Look at this. He never dies with the ball. That's a huge hit from Vermeulen. What happens? The ball is placed back where it needs to be. He takes on 3 Springboks here, goes to ground, rolls on the right side. This is what I love. He's always looking for that extra offload. Now, if that ball had bounced right for Aaron Smith, he would have scored, because it actually came off the back of Ruan Pienaar. So I think he's an exceptional player. We're lucky to have Dwayne, they're lucky to have Kieran Reid.
Well, we are looking at forward play. There was a little bit of Dwayne Vermeulen as well, who was wonderful, superior in carrying the ball, but that's no surprise, and he's always good on the ground as well, Nick.
He is, and he carries their respect. You know, the All Blacks stand back for him, which makes a massive difference in anything. If you've got rugby tacklers standing on their toes coming at you, they can hit you back. If they're on their heels and worrying about what you're going to do, you can get over the advantage line. And Dwayne does that for the team.
While we're looking at the forwards, one player who unfortunately is not quite rediscovered past form is Bismarck du Plessis. He was a change which was, I suppose, preordained or predetermined, and it didn't seem to quite work that well.
No, I think probably a couple of things happened. Yeah, I think first of all that perhaps Adrian Strauss was cramping, and the other thing was probably Bismarck was promised 25 minutes or 20 minutes in this game. But these lineouts that he loses, you know, a lineout is a very complex thing. It's not just the throw, although that was too high, that one. But the first two, it's the call, it's the support, it's how the opposition read it. But what was worrying, we lost 3 in a row in a key area between 50 minutes and 65 minutes. And our scrum was, for the first time, under pressure. You know, we started really battling. So two turnovers in scrum time and 3 turnovers from lineouts at quite a critical 15 minutes in that game. I think Bismarck would be very disappointed with that performance.
Yeah, well, I know somebody who'll be disappointed after last weekend will be Francois Lowe because of the injury he has picked up, so he's not going to be participating in the Rugby Championship anymore. A lot of people have been talking about the incident that caused that injury, and it would have gone amiss because it happened so quickly, and it was literally half a minute, I suppose, before the All Blacks scored their try, so focus was shifted away. But
what we're going to do is just ask the viewers, because we haven't got it in slow motion, but just have a look at Richie McCaw come in at this clean out, and whether in your opinion he uses his arm. His right arm is out, and we're going to show it again. Have a look here. His right arm is out, but he really cleans out Low, and I think it's there that Francois gets his neck injured, and he stays down after that.
It is. Look, I'm not going to have a go at Richie because I think Richie McCaw is a wonderful rugby player, but, you know, this game was about tiny margins. If that had been one of our guys and been caught, we would have a 9-week ban on our hands.
Well,
All Blacks have got away with
Monambi is serving a suspension, or at least got a card for a very similar offence.
And you've got to break it down. We're not whinging about it. It's a physical game. The thing is here is that Richie McCaw, in a physical act around the game, has gone with a closed shoulder to the head of another player. You're not allowed to do that. It's a fact. You know, whether it's a swinging arm or it's a shoulder, whatever, you're not allowed to do that. But he's done well. He's got away with it. He smashed our guy, who would have smashed him if he could have. Yeah. They've won that ball. They've scored a try. That's the margin of the game.
Had the TMO come in there, Bob, you know, that try would have been disallowed.
Absolutely.
So not only is there, I mean, maybe Richie would have had a yellow card. Elstedt got 3 weeks. As we've said, there are a couple of players. There's a little bit of discrepancy in terms of how people are being treated for the same sort of cleanouts. Imagine if it was Bucky's Buerta.
Well, if it was Bucky's, the whole world would have campaigned against him. I've got to say again, I don't think it's why we lost the game. We're not whinging about it. It is an isolated incident. The Boks haven't whinged, but we've got to remember that those kind of things are happening. The Boks need to be good enough to get away with those kind of things, as well as not let opposition teams get away with it.
And if the Boks aren't going to highlight it, then we might as well do it for them. Francois Urquhart was another of the players who came under the microscope a bit, and that's because of the early change. A couple of opportunities went to begging, kicking ball directly into touch. I think sometimes if he just played his natural game, Nick, he's such an exciting player.
You couldn't have had a better breakout from defence. We made 30 metres, and as he won that ball, he just kicked it over and just gave the ball away. Exactly. Now, this is what I was talking about at the end of the game. Vermeulen has an absolutely fantastic drive to the line. Now, by going to the blind side to a player running laterally, he's guaranteed to be tackled out. He has to come back to the open side and create a midfield situation where we can attack left and right from a midfield situation to give ourselves the best opportunity to score. We're only 2 metres from their line, and Lourt Diago was tackled into touch far too easily.
Yeah, it's a game of margins, as Bob says, so it is quite close, and we hope that the Springboks can bounce back, not just against the Wallabies, but against the All Blacks the next time these two teams meet.